Welcome back to the RGR Football Channel, everybody. My name is Daniel Harms, your film analyst. We have a little bit of a different schedule today. Not going to have a film room for you as I'm on vacation, but instead I have a fantastic guest for you. You guys all know and love the Athletic Football Show, one of my favorite podcasts. Robert Mays, the host and showrunner of that football show, is here with me today. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing really well. I apologize to your viewers that I'm like sweating profusely. I just finished working out and I always never leave myself enough time. So that's why I'm sweating. I'm not just like a generally sweaty person while sitting in my office.
That's all right. I mean, I think we all can kind of get a little bit of little sweat going. And honestly, I made sure that this morning I got my workout in, and then I got home and I showered, and so
You were responsible. I'm always trying to squeeze way too much stuff into too small of a time period. So.
Oh, that's good because we have a lot of stuff that we get to talk about today. Because as you guys know, this is a Chiefs channel, and Robert does talk about everything football, NFL. And as much as we want to do that on this channel, we don't have the ability to do so. But today we're going to talk about strictly the Kansas City Chiefs, something that I would imagine a lot of people are interested in on a football show. Like, you know, you and Nate run a fantastic show, and we don't always get to talk about everything that you probably want to talk about for the Chiefs. So let's just go ahead and jump right into it, because this has been the last 5 years in Kansas City has been something very few Chiefs fans have ever experienced. It's something different. The entire landscape of football has really changed. Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes have changed how football is kind of being played right now to an extent. So how have you enjoyed watching those two kind of get after it and change the game of football?
I think that my appreciation for them really kind of crystallized this year. So I've been open about this. I tend to get distracted pretty easily, and I tend to get bored pretty easily. So I am always looking for the new thing, the next thing. You know, who's going to come kind of challenge Patrick Mahomes for the throne that he's currently sitting on, has been for the last couple of years. And I was kind of excited about what that might look like last season with Josh Allen and Justin Herbert, kind of this young group of quarterbacks. And then I think as the season unfolded, I really just became aware that, and I've said this 100 different times, he's in his own tier of player. Like, he's something different, and maybe it's something that we've never really seen before. And I think that's what this season really put into perspective for me, is that we're dealing with someone truly special. And I think that he's special in part because of the circumstances that he's been dropped into. I just mean that him and Andy Reid have like a perfect football marriage and relationship. And I think that Travis Kelce is a part of that as well. But whether it's Patrick Mahomes isolated or just the situation in general, what we're watching is something I don't think we've ever watched before. You know, I'm be curious to dig into this. I actually might hear soon on our show, but the last 5 years, I mean, have we ever seen anything like that in a 5-year stretch where you have a guy win 2 MVPs? I think the consensus best player in the league over that entire stretch, the consensus best quarterback. He's got 2 Super Bowls, 2 Super Bowl MVPs. I mean, we're looking at one of the best stretches any player has ever had. And one of my favorite things about that is they've had to change and evolve even a couple different times in that 5 years. And we saw this with the Patriots. We see this with any kind of dynastic team, is that you always have to be a little bit different from season to season in order to sustain that success. And I think watching Reid and Mahomes have to stylistically change what they're doing and mindset wise change what they're doing and still stay as great as they've been, that's been one of the coolest parts about it. So I just think that at first I was awestruck, right? There was awe inspiring what they were doing, just because it was so explosive, and it just kind of felt like what the Warriors are doing in basketball on a football field. And now, kind of over the last 5 years, starting to really appreciate the subtleties of what has kept them great. I think that's what's really kind of taken it to a different place in my mind. It's not this flash in the pan thing that's overly exciting. It's just that we're seeing something operate at a level that I've personally never seen something operate at in the NFL.
Yeah, I think right now, specifically last week, quarterbacks dropped on Netflix, and we get an inside look at how they run things, and we get a little bit of Patrick Mahomes in his home life. And the one thing, I don't know if you've started watching it.
I haven't started watching it yet. No, okay. I plan on doing it at some point this week. I had it came out on Wednesday, correct?
Yeah, Wednesday last week. So
I'm meaning to watch it, but I have not watched it yet.
And so I won't give too much away, especially because everyone's not on the same schedule. But the fact of you get to see the relationship that Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes have. You talked a little bit about that, but it's different. And how Andy Reid addresses the entire offense and gives them some freedom. I've also been listening to the play callers from Jordan Rodriguez. Fantastic. It's so good. I've listened to every single episode. They were talking about how McVay And the Rams offense earlier in his about 2017, they were able to just kind of make up plays and on the fly just adjust things as it worked. And they were talking about Andrew Whitworth was talking about how they were just adjusting one of these outside zone runs where like just telling Todd Gurley, just don't hesitate, just hit the hole, just go and do it, like on the fly kind of adjustment things. That's such a cool thing that I don't think many people have really understood about football. Like we're in an era now where players are getting more input on the offense, things that are being run, the plays that are being called. Everyone remembers Snow Globe last year where they come out of the huddle, they all spin around in a circle, the Chiefs do, and then they go run a play. Unfortunately, it gets back, called back on a penalty. That kind of stuff, the creativity that they have, that Andy Reid allows them to have, it's something that I'm fully appreciative of and in awe of how that relationship works between those two. And when I think about what the Chiefs have done over the last 5 years, everyone talks about that rookie contract. You have to win a Super Bowl within the rookie contract of that star quarterback. After that, how are you going to adjust? How are you going to go and win another one? How are you going to get to that top? A lot of teams don't end up doing that. And then we talk about the contract. This is the thing that we all kind of glance over a little bit. We talk about how unique it is. And you had Brad Spielberger of PFF on a few weeks ago talking about contracts in the NFL. So I don't know if you've specifically looked at his structure, because I'm not the huge cap person, contract person. I want to give our viewers a little bit of an inside look at how they've structured it and why it's so unique, and how they've done this, planning it out kind of since he was a second-year player, a rookie, to give them this flexibility. So how unique is Patrick Mahomes' contract?
It's not like anything that we've ever seen in the NFL before. I mean, it looks like a baseball contract, which I don't think is an accident. I think that they wanted the richest contract in the history of sports, and that's what they got when you look at the actual dollar number at the end of it. And some of these deals at the NFL, the guaranteed money is the most important part, but he's going to make every single dollar of this. And I think that's for a couple of different reasons. One, he's the best player in the league. He will continue to be the best player in the league. But two, the way that the guarantee structure was rolled out is that it's rolling guarantees. So he gets the guarantees, I believe, 2 years early every single season. So his guarantees, I think, for the 2025 season kick in this year, that something like that, where they kick in a couple years early every single time. So he's very likely to get those guarantees, but the cash flow on the contract was such that it allowed the Chiefs to do some things early on in the deal that they might not have if there was some huge signing bonus. So he didn't get a lot of cash flow early in the contract, and he has these massive roster bonuses every single year. So the Chiefs can, if they want to, convert those roster bonuses into signing bonuses and then prorate it over the rest of the deal. And when you have a 10-year contract, even if you're 5 years into it, if you convert that bonus, it prorates over the next 5 years. So the length just gives them so much flexibility, so much certainty, and the cash flow early in the contract especially gave them the ability to kind of do some things, because even if you're looking at cap numbers and all that kind of stuff, cash is still real. Like, you still have to pay the players. So I think it was early in the deal, they were able to franchise Chris Jones, where you have to pay him $20 million in cash in 1 year. And in Mahomes' cash flow is a little bit less than you have the cash on hand to do it. The Chiefs, I don't think, are a team that has a ton of cash, in the same way that some of these other organizations do. Like, you look at the way that the Rams have spent cash over the last few years, or the way that the Browns are spending cash right now. The Chiefs don't really operate that way. So in terms of peace of mind, certainty, value, all of those things, I mean, it's just allowed them to do some stuff that you would never be able to do otherwise. And that's on top of him being the best player in the league. Like, the fact that they won the Super Bowl last year with him taking up a larger percentage of the salary cap than any quarterback in the modern era ever has, I think speaks to just how rare of a player he is. And then you combine that with all of the little built-in advantages the deal gives them, and they put themselves in a pretty good position.
Yeah, you guys have talked a little bit about nailing drafts, and the Chiefs were able to do that last year, having 7 rookies, giving multiple games starting even on their defense, and that's because they had to pay Patrick Mahomes, they had to get Chris Jones that contract, they invested a little bit of money into Frank Clark early in his time, so the structure of this contract was just so unique. It's not something, you said, it's not something we've ever seen before, and allowing Patrick understanding, I'm going to get money in off-field stuff in all those different other ways. I'm going to be able to make all this money anyway, and also understanding that I don't necessarily care when I get this money. Like, it's all going to come in anyway, and allowing the Chiefs to just kind of move things around, get creative with it, knowing that it's not always going to be we're paying top dollar for a Sammy Watkins or a Frank Clark in the free agent market. We have to find different ways to do that. And I believe that I heard that they have been, like I said, trying to figure this contract out since he was a rookie or a second-year player. They knew that there was something about Patrick that they were going to have to make sure they could get him to stay in Kansas City forever. And I just imagine that agents everywhere are furious at this contract. Like, they have to be like, come on, Patrick, why did you do this to us? Because it's so difficult to do what they've done. Obviously, the contracts continue to go up year after year. Lamar Jackson just got paid. You're going to have Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert get their money. And then whenever Patrick resets his market, which we assume is going to be in the next 2 or 3 years, I think they're going to want to restructure and extend that contract. It's going to do it all over again, and agents will be kind of furious about that. So it's such a fun topic to kind of talk about, especially for me. I don't know much about, like I said, the cap stuff and the contract. So that's always nice to get a little bit more information in that department. Thank you again very much for your time. I love getting to hear you guys on your podcast. So getting to talk to you and have a little bit of a one-on-one with you was a fantastic time. I would appreciate everybody. Please go listen to the Athletic Football Show. If you don't, it is by far my favorite football podcast and one of the best out there. So do that. Subscribe to their work as much as you guys can. We will be back with you guys as soon as possible. I'm not entirely sure when this video release, probably Wednesday if this is a Wednesday. So make sure you guys are hitting that the sub for the channel, and continue with the RGR channel. You guys, we'll see you guys next time. Have a great day.